Today we'll be talking about some fun quiz options best for grades 2 through 8. Check the description box below for timestamps to skip to the ones you want to see most. Friendly reminder, any games created by other users or AI need to be previewed ahead of time to make sure the content is age appropriate and correct. Let's start with Quizizz. This site is great for upper elementary and middle school. Choose from assessments, lessons, and interactive videos. You'll create an account with your CCSD21 Google account. You can either create your own list of multiple choice questions or pick from the public library. Creating your own questions allows you to import a worksheet, generate with AI, or create from scratch. Let's try a worksheet. I will upload a PDF from my computer like this. Here I can specify the output language, number of questions, grade, and subject. Now we'll generate the quiz. You can see that Quizizz took all the questions and answers from my PDF and created a quiz. I can even go in and make changes if necessary. I can also insert new questions in between. At the bottom, Quizizz recommends additional questions based on what I already have. I can click Publish when I'm done. Next, we'll see how to create a quiz with AI. Anytime you're interested in using AI tools for teaching, please refer to our AI Guidance for Teachers. The full infographic is linked in the description box below. But just for your reference, here's a stoplight with some do's and don'ts. Creating a Quizizz game falls under the yellow light, which means you need to double check the results that are generated to ensure that the information is accurate and appropriate. We'll choose Assessment and Generate with AI. In the Text Prompt tab, we'll write a prompt to describe the type of quiz we want to create. Be detailed. I recommend listing the grade, topic, and even include some examples like I'm doing here. Then you can choose the number of questions, subject, grade, standards, and depth of knowledge. Optionally, you can choose subtopics related to your prompt. If you're happy with the questions, you can continue to the editor. You can edit the questions if needed. You could start with their AI translator to begin translating questions, but do make sure to review and edit them before just assuming that the translation is 100% correct. Click Publish when you're done. Now we'll create from scratch. The free version that we're using allows questions that are multiple choice, fill in the blank, interactive videos, draw, open-ended, poll, and word cloud. Fill out the question and answers. You can choose one or multiple correct answers. Choose the points, how many seconds students can answer your question, and you can add an answer explanation if you want. Save when you're done. When you click Publish, you'll give it a title and fill out the details. Note that the free version limits how much storage you can use. Optionally, you can also import classes from Google Classroom and have students sign in with Google for you to create assignments with Quizizz. This method allows for accommodations too. You can choose to have students complete quizzes independently and share it through Google Classroom, or if your classes are not synced, you can simply share your join code or copy and paste the link. When students enter a game, they can translate some parts of it, such as the buttons here, but if you want the actual questions to be translated, you would first have to enter them in the desired language for them to show up that way. This is an example of hosting a game live. You can choose your game style and settings here. Students join with your link or code and customize their avatar. The live game will display a leaderboard on the teacher's screen. The students will see the questions and have the option of using power-ups while playing. The teacher can also choose to display the questions so students can see which ones are commonly missed. The end of the game has a podium and an overview of the results. Students can also practice virtual flashcards right after. Or you could start by sharing the direct link to the game, and students can just use the questions as flashcards. This would be an approved alternative to Quizlet. Just a side note, there's a Chrome extension available to convert content into Quizizz games as well. Next, let's talk about Kahoot. Personally, I think Kahoot is great for younger students because all you would have to do is read the question and answers out loud to them. And on their side, they just have to pick the correct color of the question, so minimal reading is involved. Here in CCSD21, we use the free version of Kahoot. To get started, you'll go to kahoot.com and you'll click Login, or you'll create an account. You're going to want to use your CCSD21 Google account to get started. Once we're logged in, you can get started by either using the Discover tab to find already made Kahoot games, or you can go to your library to find your previously saved games. And this blue button here that says Create allows you to create one from scratch. If we click once, we can choose between a Kahoot, which is the quiz games, or courses, which include videos, documents, and assessments. Since we're using the free version here, we can choose between a blank canvas or templates. If we start blank, we can begin by choosing a theme on the right-hand side, and we can start with questions. If I add a question on the left, I can choose between quiz, which is multiple choice, or true or false. I click the option I want, and I can start typing. If I click the plus sign here, I can add an image, GIF, video, or audio, and you can also upload media here. Note that you are limited in the Getty image search with the free version, or you can use the Unsplash library instead. Once I find an image, I just click it once. On the right-hand side, you have options such as time limit and points. Since we're on the free version, we only get a single select option. Make sure you select which answer is correct by checking it like this. As you'll notice, as I'm creating this quiz, it is saving automatically. You may also want to give your Kahoot a title. As you create more questions, you can also hold your mouse over the question and rearrange by dragging it like this. You can duplicate questions, or you can hit the trash can to delete them. I can preview the quiz by clicking this button. This gives me an idea of what it'll look like when I start the game. I'm going to save this game. Once I'm ready to share this with my students, I can choose to either assign it, meaning the kids will work on this independently, or I can host live and do the game as a whole class. You click Assign, and you can specify the date and time that it's due. You can choose to have the question timer on, or students can go at their own pace. You can choose if answers are randomized or appear in the order that you initially typed them in. You can also generate nicknames. Note that there's a 40-person limit for this assignment, and I'm going to click Create. Now to share this with students, you have a couple of options. They could use the QR code and scan it from their Chromebook. They could also go to kahoot.it and use this game pin to join. Or what might be the easiest is they can use this URL. I would copy this and paste it in either Google Classroom or Seesaw, and the students can click it to join your game. As my students complete the game, I'll see all of their results here. If I chose Host Live instead, I would click this button. Note that I'm limited to 40 players, and this is going to be live, so I can choose between either classic mode or team mode like this. I'm going to click Start. Once my students have joined, I click Start, and on my side, the quiz will start and display the question and all the answer choices. The students will get a screen that looks like this, so they have to look up at my screen to see the choices, and they click the color of the correct choice. At the end, it'll display the results of what all the students chose and the correct answer. When I click Next, it'll have a leaderboard with all the students here. If you use someone else's quiz from Kahoot, you can also click the 3 dots and choose Duplicate. Now I have my own copy of this quiz, which means I can click the pencil, and I can now make my own changes to this copy of the quiz. Just as a helpful tip, if you find yourself using Kahoot frequently, you may want your students to bookmark kahoot.it, so that way all they have to do is click their bookmark and enter your game pin to join a game. This could be the fastest way to join a Kahoot if your students get used to this process. Now we'll talk about Blooket. To get started, you'll go to blooket.com and you'll sign in with your CCSD21 Google account or create an account if you don't have one already. In this district, we use the free version, so that means when you sign in, you can choose, you could either start with the Discover tab, which allows you to pick from the community library of games. If you click the My Sets tab, that lets you see the games that you've already created in the past. When you favorite another user's game, meaning you click the star, it'll appear in the Favorites tab as well. Or you can create a game from scratch by clicking Create. If I'm creating a game from scratch, I start by giving it a title and a picture, and optionally a description. So I'm going to start by adding a question with the purple button here. So here I've typed the question and my answers. I check mark the correct answer, or with the free version of Blooket, you can also select multiple if there's multiple correct answers. Up here you can choose the time limit, choose if the questions appear in a random order, and you can choose between a multiple choice question or a typing answer. Here you would give all the possible correct answers there could be. You can also insert math questions here, and you can use this equation editor to insert the special characters. For image, you can choose from their gallery, you can upload an image or paste a URL. Unfortunately, audio requires the paid version. On the individual questions, you can also include pictures. For example, if you were making this game for students who are still learning to read, it might be helpful to have picture options as the answers instead of words, so they could just choose the correct picture. I'm going to click Save. As I'm editing, I can also choose to duplicate this question, or I can delete it, and I can also use these arrows to change the order the questions appear in. Once I'm done, I'm going to click Save Set. When I am ready to share this with my students, I can either click Assign to have them do it independently, or Host to choose a game style and host the game live. When I click Assign, I get to choose from these different game styles. When you click a style, you can read a brief description, and you can choose to assign it as homework if you decide you want to go with this one. Here I can specify the date it's due. You can give it a different title. You can also give a goal. Here at the bottom, you can choose if students can have the option to create their own account or not. Students are allowed to create their own accounts, which is nice because then they can save the different progress. And I'm going to click Assign now. What I think would be the easiest is to just click this link, and you can paste the link in Google Classroom or Seesaw. The students can click on it and start the game independently. When I scroll down the page here, it'll tell me the progress, about who played it, and which questions they got correct or incorrect. I can extend the game. So I choose how many more days the students can finish it. And at the very, very bottom here, I can actually see the individual questions. If I were hosting this game live, you can see I have some slightly different game styles to choose from. I think my favorite one to do live is the racing game. It's just very simple. You could get started real quick with it. If I want to choose this one, I'm going to click Host. You can decide if students can join late, if you want to use random names. Again, if you want to allow students to create their own accounts. Here you can choose the number of questions. If I'm limited on time, maybe we only get through a couple questions. If we have more time, maybe I can extend this. And I'm going to click Host now. Up here, you can mute the music if it's driving you crazy. If you want to share this game with students, you could have students go to this address, which is play.blooket.com. They can enter your game ID. So similar to Kahoot, maybe if you use this often, you could have students bookmark this URL. So all they have to do is just real quick type the number. Or you can click this button here, and this copies a link, and you could share that link via Google Classroom or Seesaw. So all students have to do is click your link, and they can join the game that way as well. From the student perspective, if they click your link, they get to this page where they enter their nickname. And then they choose their Blook, which in this case is an avatar. And once all your students join, you click Start. So as you can see, the way this works is that students are lined up in these rows. As they answer questions correctly and quickly, their character will move closer and closer to the finish line. Just like this. As the kids play, they'll get a power-up that looks like this. So they'll get a random option, and it explains to them, for instance, this power-up allows me to send another player back one question. So I click, and I can choose the person I want to apply that to. At the very end, you'll get a leaderboard that looks like this. And you can decide if you want to play again with the same questions. Your students just have to make sure they click yes. Next up is Genially. This website is a bit different from the ones we've seen before because it's essentially a really fancy slideshow where students can click on different elements and it has them jump to a different page. But to the students, it just looks and feels like a real game, which is kind of cool. To get started, you can go to Genially.com. You would either create your account or sign in with your CCSD21 Google account. Here in the district, we use the free version of Genially, and that still allows you to do quite a lot. What I'll typically do is I will click Create Genially, I think it's easier to start from a template rather than starting from scratch, just because these games can get quite intricate, so it's easier to have a place to start. Personally, I love the games and challenges section. And escape games. Students love these. These feel like virtual breakout rooms. So students are incentivized to complete the different activities, and then you can have them spell out an escape word or earn some sort of virtual certificate when they're done. Again, we use the free version, so you are limited in the types of templates you can choose, but there's still quite a bit to choose from all of these free options. If you see one that you like, you click it to preview. And from here, I can get a feel for how the game looks. And if I think this would be a good starting point for me, I would click Use this template. So for example, with this one, you go knocking on the different houses, and you would complete the multiple choice question. And since it's Halloween themed, you're earning candy as you go to each activity or each house. These are what the games look like when you open them up. Like I mentioned, they're essentially just really fancy slideshows. So on the left-hand side here, on the Pages section, you can go through the different pages, and you can click on different elements. You can add interactivity. So for example, when a student clicks this arrow, for them, they'll skip to the next page. Or if I click this button, I can have them skip to a really specific other page in this list. There's really a lot you can do with this. If I click preview here, you can see that this particular page has a dragging element, so students have to move the different objects to find the key. If I click the left-hand options here, I have all sorts of choices where I can have a different background. I can use smart blocks if I want to build out a table or a pyramid or some kind of diagram. Interactive questions allows you to insert multiple choice, true, false, pick the image, or sort for the free version that we use. Interactive elements are a lot of fun. You can insert all sorts of cool things here. For example, if somebody clicks on an object, I could have a tooltip pop up with information. You could put a dice in here, so students have to roll the dice and pick a number. They've got a rock, paper, scissors option. They have really all sorts of cool things. Resources are built-in graphics and icons. Images allow you to search for images and GIFs. You can also upload your own. Text allows you to insert words and have all sorts of editing options with the font and color. If you guys want me to do a deep dive to give you even more information about how to create one of these from scratch, give this video a like so I know. But just for now, those are sort of the basics. And with Genially, the way that you would share this with students, for example, if I want to share this one with them, I hover over the thumbnail and I click the share button. Since we're using the free version, we have to opt to publish online. You can give it a title. You can choose if people can reuse it and create their own version of your game. And then we click All Set. You copy the link, and that link is what you share with the kids. So there's no logging in for the kids. They don't have to enter any credentials, save any progress. They're quite literally just going through your game. Signed out. When students click your link, it'll look like this to them, and they will just click start and get into your game right away. This is also nice because there's no progress saved. Students can leave this game. If there's problems, they can refresh the page and nothing's lost because there is nothing saved. If you're having students collect something, such as collect a letter every time they finish an activity or something like that, I would have them just write it down on a piece of notebook paper since nothing is saved on this game. And that way they can refer to what they wrote down. So if they have to break out of this escape room, they already have the information written down. I would be happy to collaborate with you if you want me to help create one of these games for you. They're pretty easy to make, but they're just very tedious because there are so many pages involved. So I would be more than happy if you already have an existing quiz or worksheet that you'd like to take the questions from to turn into this sort of game. I'd be happy to work with you on that. And now we'll talk about Pear Practice. This is a relatively new option, so I'm really excited to show you how it works. You're all probably familiar with Pear Deck because we have a subscription to the regular Pear Deck website, but this is a bit different. When you go to peardeck.com, you choose Login and choose Pear Practice. You're going to sign in with Pear Deck Learning, and you'll sign in with your CCSD21 Google account. So very similar to the other websites, you have the option to search for an existing practice set. You can also click this button up here to create your own. Pear Deck Practice lets you import from Google Classroom, and this allows you to create assignments for students. This is also nice because you can track accuracy, standards performance, and more from your students. If I click Create Practice Set up here, I have the option to create a custom set. Keep in mind that we pay for the regular Pear Deck subscription, but Pear Practice is completely separate, so we have just the free version of Pear Practice. However, you can still do quite a lot with it. Once your students do several Pear Deck practice sessions, you can also do a class remix where you can take questions your students have already completed to give them additional practice with them. For today, we'll explore custom. So we're going to start with the title, description, and optionally we can also do a cover image and some of these others. And I'm going to click Create Set. I can click the plus to add a question. The free version allows you to choose from multiple choice, text response, numerical, or drawing. Multiple choice lets students choose text or images. So very similar to the other options we saw, you enter the prompt. You can choose media, so if you want to also include an image, a GIF, audio, or video, you could. And you choose the responses down here. You can have students choose multiple answers if you want, or just check mark one correct answer. You also have this feedback tab, so that allows you to enter some sort of prompt to give clarification to students after they've answered a question. You could also add standards as well. I'm going to save and close. Numerical response is very similar. You have the prompt here. You could add media if you upload your own. And you have a correct response here. Prefix and suffix. Drawing also allows you to enter a prompt here. You could upload your own media. And you can have a drawing background as well. So since we're on the free version, you would upload your own. But this could be some sort of canvas where the students are drawing over it. If I click preview, I get an idea of how this will look to students. If I click assign, this allows me to create an assignment just like we saw with the other options. I can choose when it's due. This is cool because I can also create an accuracy goal for my students. And I can assign this to Google Classroom. If I want, I can even edit the selection, so I can just choose specific students to assign this to. So I'll check mark Assign Practice Set to Google Classroom. I can decide if I want to randomize the order of questions or not, and I'll create the assignment. Alternatively, you can also create a live game with all your students by clicking this button. You can choose between Quick Play and the big board. I think Quick Play is just the easiest one to get started with. You can assign this on Google Classroom for your students to easily join. You can also allow guest students. You can decide how many seconds they have per question, choose to randomize the order, and even skip selected questions too. I'm going to start the live practice. Students can either join by using this URL, which is play.peardeck.com, and then they'll enter the code, or you can copy the link and share this link on Google Classroom if you didn't already do that, or even on Seesaw as well. Of course, if you already chose to share this via Google Classroom, the students will just join that way. Once students are in, I think the best part is that they get to customize their own avatar. They click this button, and they really have so many options to choose from. Once students have the avatar, they'll click Done. You can also optionally have students sign in, and that allows them to save their avatar and their progress. But you certainly don't have to do that if you intend to only play this once or twice. Students who are joining anonymously like this are assigned a random name. Once all your students have joined, if you're still waiting on students, you can implement this countdown to kind of speed it up. And of course, you can add 30 seconds if they're still working on it. Once everyone's ready, you click Start Now. Once all your students have joined, you're going to click Start Now. Pear Deck will automatically sort the kids into different teams with random names. You can shuffle the teams. And once you're happy with that, we're going to click Let's Play. So from the student's perspective, this is what it looks like. They choose the correct answer. They submit their response. And their teammates also submit their responses. Whoever's team answers it correctly and the fastest will get the most points. You can choose to end early. And go to the next question. For the drawing exercise, it looks like this. Students make a drawing and click Submit. All of the students' drawings will be up here. You can click this button to zoom in on it. You can also delete it. Students will vote on the best drawing, and that will be the winner. The winning team will appear here, along with their points. And you can see the whole class and team scores here too. You can click this button to review. So here you can see the class accuracy. You can also sort by student performance if the kids were signed in. And it'll tell you here in general if your students need more practice or not. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.